You have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
What's going on, people? LP 2000 right back at you with another video. Yes. Welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect Doll Monsters. And I got a good one for y'all today. Oh my God, this is so cool. And if you remember in my last video of the X Plus 25cm 2019 King Ghidorah / Monster Zero, and if you saw that little teaser at the very end of that video, and I said then that in the next video we're gonna go back to the beginning where everything started, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't lying. And as you can see here, we're definitely going back to the beginning, the awesome beginning of this awesome franchise that we know and love so much. So again, you already clicked the title, you know exactly what we're covering here. So let's dive head first into this awesome resin model kit review. And today we're taking a look at the 40cm resin model kit of the KOC 1954 Godzilla. Bit of a super cool appearance in the first ever film that kicked off this awesome illustrious franchise, Gojira 1954, aka Godzilla 1954, also known as Godzilla King of the Monsters 1956. As you can see, I have the beautiful resin model kit of the awesome Shodai Goji. Yes, the first ever Godzilla, the granddaddy of them all, the one that started it all. And it is beautiful in all his awesome resin model kit prehistoric glory. So you know what? Let me give a huge shout out and thank you to two special people for making this video happen. First and foremost, Eric Stolp. You know, he's a great friend of mine. You know, you can catch him on the Monsters with Attitude YouTube show. You can also catch him on his own channel here on YouTube, Eric Stolp Bearded Kaiju Reviews. He helped me secure this kit off of Bayi. More on that later. And Marcellus Winters. Again, you have heard his name on my channel recently when it comes to model kits, build and paint model kits. He's also a great friend of mine as well. He built and painted this kit for me. So thank you to Eric and thank you to Marcellus for making this video happen. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is a resin model kit. I had it sent to me almost fully intact, or in pieces, I should say. So I don't really have any artwork except for this right here. This is the artwork that came with the model kit, with the picture of the model kit. You know, 1954 Godzilla, sculpted by Akira Ibaraki. And also has some instructions in Japanese, and I don't know what they're saying. But it's kind of general, so you can kind of get the idea if you do get this kit, you know what I'm saying? It is in pieces, and I'll talk more about that momentarily. But that's it as far as like the packaging on promo cards in regards to this model kit. And it looks great. It looks great. But again, it's not about the packaging or the instructions or the promo card. It's about the awesome resin model kit itself. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the KOC 40cm resin model kit of the 1954 Godzilla. My fourth 40cm resin model kit of a KOC Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the backstory about how I got this kit. Now, originally this kit came out in 2019, sculpted by the great Akira Ibaraki. You know what I'm saying? I think it kicked off his recent string of 40cm model kits, you know what I'm saying? Because he made this in 2019. A year later, he brought out the 99 as well as the 64. A year later, he brought out the 62. And at the time of this recording in 2023, he made a 1955 40cm Godzilla kit, which I'm going to get real soon. So you'll see a video on that later on this year on my channel. So, but I have been really fascinated with these 40cm resin model kits. My first ever, if you already know, was the 64. Ever since I got that kit, that really was the kit that opened my eyes into the world of dabbling into model kits. Because you already know I don't have any type of talent or expertise to build and paint these things. But I know enough people that can do the job for me, like David Dotko, John LeGrand, Mark Sang-Yang, Burley Vang. Even most recently, you know, discovering Marcellus Winters, that he had a talent and a want to build and paint these things. So he's up there with my go-to artists that I contact when it comes to building and painting model kits, you know what I'm saying? But again, after I got the 64, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing the model kit thing. It was an expensive undertaking. I mean, there's no question about that. More expensive for me because, again, I have to pay and hire somebody to build this thing for me. I got to pay for the shipping to that person. I got to pay for shipping back to me, you know, which is understandable, you know. But these kits are great. And then after I got the 64, I got my hands on the 62. Then I got my hands on the 99, and now I got my hands on the 54. And what's cool about these kits, and David Dotko will be the first to tell you, because he's worked on a few of these kits for me, or in general, it's the fact that when you get these kits, they're made in pieces. They arrive to you in pieces. You know, I know I covered this on the 64 video, but I might as well give a brief summary here. These resin model kits, again, transporting resin model kits from Japan to the United States is a real tricky thing, because a lot of times, you know, these package handlers, not trying to disparage all the package handlers out there, because I know I'm one of them, but a lot of these times these package handlers or these couriers are kind of rough with the boxes, and with resin being such a brittle material, you know, these things can easily be damaged in transit, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of modelers or builders are really hesitant, David included, of sending resin model kits over long distances, you know what I'm saying? But with the 40cm resin model kits from KOC, like the dorsal plates was one piece, the tail was one piece, the abdomen was one piece, the hands were two different pieces, and they're like in different separate compartments inside a big styrofoam box to protect it while it's in transit, you know what I'm saying? So if you're in my case and you have to send a kit to somebody to have it built and painted for you, the person can build it and paint it for you, you know, put it all together, build it and paint it for you. Then they can take it apart, put it into the box and send it off to you, and more likely it will arrive to you not damaged. So I agree with David Dotko saying that this is a game changer when it comes to resin model kits or transporting resin model kits, you know? And again, ever since I got my hands on the 64 kit, that has really opened my eyes more so into this line here, you know what I'm saying, with the 40cm from KOC. And I made no bones about the fact that, in my opinion, he's my third favorite sculptor. Ibaraki I'm talking about. Behind Sakai, Sakai is number 1 for me. Niwa from Monster Maker 28 is number 2, and Ibaraki is number 3. And when it comes to his sculpting of these most recent 40cm Godzillas, with the 54, with the 64, with the 62, with the 99, and with the upcoming 55, he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to sculpting. That guy is awesome. He is so awesome, and he has made, basically, in my opinion, a flawless sculpt of the original Godzilla. More on that later. Now, how I got my hands on this kit it happened, I want to say, mid-November, right? What really started it all, basically, was the shocking announcement last year on Godzilla Day on November 3rd. Because, you know, we got so many great announcements on that day, not just in terms of just collectibles or whatever, but we got the shocking and awesome announcement that Toho is going to be bringing out another Godzilla film, which is due to drop on November 3rd, Godzilla's birthday this year of 2023. And that was a shocking announcement. Probably the biggest announcement coming out of Godzilla Day that had pretty much everybody buzzing. Now, we knew about Godzilla and Kong, the sequel is coming out, but we had no idea that Toho was doing a brand new live-action Godzilla film. We have not seen a live-action Godzilla film from Toho since 2016 Shin Godzilla. So that really got a lot of people buzzing. And I think the info about the film, because we don't really know anything about the film, or at least not that much about it, right? But what we do know, or at least what they teased when they announced the film, that supposedly this film is going to take place late World War II, which would make it in the late 40s, in the Showa era, which would kind of predate 1954, right? Again, this is all speculation. We really don't know what the film is really going to be about, quite frankly. We don't know if this film actually predates 1954 and leads into the rest of the series, or is it going to be a singular, isolated movie, kind of like Shin Godzilla? Again, we don't know. Either way, the idea of a period piece, that they're going to bring out a new Godzilla film that's going to be a period piece, a Showa period piece that in a way predates 1954, that got me all gung-ho about that. It really made me want to go back and watch the original film more. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the original film, more so 56 than 54, but it's a film I don't go back to all that often because it is a heavy film. When you sit down and think about it, it's a heavy, somber, ominous, almost depressing, tragic film when you really sit down and think about it. And I don't go back to it as often. But after I got that news about the new Godzilla film coming out and where the period is going to be set in, that really motivated me to go back and watch the original 54 as well as 56. You know what I'm saying? Which was really, in a way, kind of re-sparked my love for the original Godzilla film as well as the original Godzilla design, right? Then I hop on Bai. I probably want to say like a week later after the announcement of the new Godzilla film was coming out. And this kit, talk about timing, perfect timing, or fate, if you will. This kit was on Bai. That's the thing, these 40cm kits don't pop up on Bai all too often. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see one for a good price, you better jump on it. And after, again, me kind of like falling back in love with the original film, with the timing of the new announcement of the Godzilla film, of the new Godzilla film, and seeing this on Bai, I was like, you know what? I'm going after it. Now, I don't have that much experience with Bai. That's where Eric Stolp has comes into play because he is very, very fluent in the Bai website. If you don't know what Bai is a Japanese auction website, basically like the Japanese equivalent to eBay here in the States, right? And he's well versed into buying stuff on Bai and stuff like that. I wasn't. So I contacted him and said, hey, would you mind getting this for me? I'll shoot you the money for it and then have it sent to whoever I'm going to hire to build and paint this kit. And he obliged. So again, thank you to Eric Stolp. Really do appreciate it. He had it sent to Marcellus Winters, and Marcellus built and painted this kit for me. And again, Marcellus has done a wonderful job with the stuff he has made for me thus far. When it comes to the 91 40cm resin model kit of the Horizon 91 Godzilla, whether it's the awesome customized gigantic gargantuas that he made for me, I still got to review those. I will. But those were awesome. The work he did on those were awesome. You know, the Resin Chef 1972 King Ghidorah, that was an awesome, that was awesome work he did on that kit. And now you can add the 54 KOC onto that list. You know what I'm saying? And that is the backstory about how I got my hands on this kit. In a way, I kind of looked into it. No different how I looked into the 64, how I looked into the 62, how I looked into the 99. You know what I'm saying? I've had some good luck. I really have had some good luck, excuse me. And this is no different because this is really a solid representation of the 54. Now, let me just tell you, the 54, while I have fallen back in love with the film as of late, the 54 still is not in my top 10 of favorite Godzillas Godzilla designs. I recognize the importance of the suit. I recognize the importance of the film. I recognize how awesome he is in all his, you know, menacing prehistoric glory. But before I got this guy, I got the X Plus Gigantic Sakai 54. I got the X Plus Gigantic Favorite Sculptors Line 54. I have the 30cm Wonderfast Natural Color version of the 54. I got the Train Biter 54. So, you know, I have my share of 54s. Now, I really was debating about getting this guy, but again, the timing of the new Godzilla film announcement, as well as seeing this on Bai, and the fact you don't see a lot of these resin model kits from KOC, especially the 40cm ones on Bai, the fact you don't see a lot of those really motivated me to get this kit, and I'm glad I have gotten this kit. More likely, this probably will be the last 54 kit I will get, maybe, you know, because after you have the Sakai Gigantic, after you have the Favorite Sculptors Line Gigantic, after you have this, I think I've reached a peak when it comes to having quality and probably the best 54 pieces that are out there right now. You know what I'm saying? But only time will tell, but I'm glad to have this kit in my collection. So that's it with the backstory, the long backstory, how I got this kit, the motivation for me wanting to get this kit, all that good stuff. So let's get up close and personal with this guy right here. And as you can see here, the sculpt looks great. Going towards the lower body, you know, you had the somewhat bagginess of the suit or bagginess of the monster. When it comes to his legs, you know, whatever. His thighs, you know, are kind of like big. You know, they will slim down as he get, you know, more into the mid-60s or whatever. But as you can see here, the attention to detail on the knees as well as the thighs looks really, really good. The toes, the 4-toe scheme right there. You know, the original clown feet. They kind of carried over into the Heisei, because as time went on in the Showa period, his feet got like bunched together and they kind of look cute going towards the 70s, right? But it started with these big, giant-sized clown shoes type of feet with the menacing toes, sharp toes of the 54. It looks really, really good. Going up towards the abdomen here looks great, and the placement of his hands, which is basically how this Godzilla was in the film anyway. Barely did this Godzilla was really expressive with his hands. Like, he wasn't doing what he was doing in the 70s, where he was like having his arms all out there, like, you know, trying to grab stuff or swat stuff, you know, whatever. Now, he did move his arms just a little bit, you know what I'm saying, whether he's either swatting a plane or he's trying to swat a missile that he spots coming his way. He tries to, you know, get it before it gets to him. But other than those few moments that we see in the film, his arms are like this. They're very stationary like this. And Ibaraki has done a great job recapturing that in this sculpt. Looks really, really good. You have somewhat of a buff chest right here, with kind of like a little dip right here at the top of his chest, going towards his neck, which is kind of like what we have seen in the most recent Shin Godzilla. The most recent version of Shin Godzilla got that going on with that little dip, you know, before you get to his neck. You know, the bagginess of his neck looked really, really good. I'm going to save the face for last. Let's go towards the dorsal plates. Dorsal plates, the prehistoric looking awesome dorsal plates. Amazing. No wonder why Legendary decided to bring back these dorsal plates and put on their Godzilla, because these dorsal plates are great. Prehistoric looking, menacing, looks really, really good. The tail, kind of like what I just talked about when it comes to the placement of the hands. Like, his tail was basically like this throughout the majority of the film, or whenever we would see the tail, you know. He wouldn't like swat his tail or use his tail the way he would use his hands, like in the later Showa films where the tail would go like up and down and just have a lot of movement, right? Kind of like what I talk about with the hands. Really, like, one of the few times that we see the tail move is like if he smashes a building, or that moment where he steps on the electrical train system or the electrical train and it shocks him and his tail like swings back and forth real fast. And I think it comes in contact with that theater, with that building, which was a theater, right? And fun fact, from what I understand, when people in Japan, when this movie came out in Japan in 1954, and people were in that very same theater watching this movie, and when that moment came when Godzilla, you know, steps on that electrical train and the tail just swats back and forth real fast, and it comes in contact with the building, which was the theater that that those people were in watched the movie. I think some people actually ran out of the theater because they thought Godzilla was out there attacking the building, which is cool, which is really, really cool. But again, the tail looks really, really good. Kind of long in a way with a little point at the end, sort of rounded point, and it looks really good. You have the, again, the dorsal plates look great on the main row of his back. You have the smaller dorsal plates going towards the base of his tail, going towards the tip of the tail. Looks really, really good. You had the ridges on the base of the tail, which adds some more realism to the suit of the monster. You know what I'm saying? Again, the thighs, the lower body, the clown chute feet, the placement of the hands, his abdomen, his chest, that little dip right there before we get to his neck, the dorsal plates, the tail looks great. Now let's go towards the final part, which is his face. And again, as I said many times before, when it comes to model kits, the sculpt has to be perfect. The sculpt has to be perfect, otherwise you can have a killer paint job, but still something will seem off because the sculpt is not perfect. So the sculpt of a model kit has to be perfect and the paint job has to be perfect. And when it comes to the sculpting of the face, it looks really, really good with the ears popping out, making him look more so like a devil. I'm kind of back and forth with the ears. I'm fine with him with the ears. I'm fine with him without the ears. You know what I'm saying? I think with the ears, he transcends from being just an ordinary dinosaur or a dinosaur-like creature to being an actual monster. So it gives him more of a monstrous personality with the addition of the ears, which is no wonder why they brought him back in the Heisei period. You know what I'm saying? But the ears look really, really good. You know, you have the hooded eyes. You know, that kind of plays into the paint job more on that momentarily. But the hooded eyes look great. You know, the beady eyes with the pupils looking down at the helpless Tokyo about to burn to the ground, you know, whatever. The shark-like teeth in his mouth on both the upper and lower jaws looks really, really good. The face is sculpted perfectly. This is all 54 when you sit down and think about it. So again, from the sculpting of the face, the ears, the hooded eyes, the prehistoric dorsal plates on his back, the tail, the bagginess of the lower body, the chest, the hands placement, or the hands himself, the claws I should say, the sharpness of his toes, the way his feet are sculpted, perfect. This sculpt is perfect. So perfect, which leads us to the paint job. And once again, that's where Marcellus Winters comes into play. And again, that boy knows exactly what he's doing. Again, I can't stress this enough. If you have a model kit and you got your hands on a model kit and you don't know how to build and paint it yourself, do not hesitate to contact Marcellus Winters. He can hook you up. I am living proof of that. I have multiple works that he has done, and he has knocked them all out of the park. Like I said, the 91, the Gargantuas, the 72 Ghidorah, and now you have the 54. He has done a phenomenal job with this paint job of this Godzilla. Now, when it came to the paint job, now, ordinarily, it probably would have been best to really give it a black and white paint job or a monochrome paint job, because that's basically how we saw him in the film, because the film is in black and white. But again, because I had the X Plus gigantic 54s, right, I wanted something a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I wanted something different other than the black and white one. Kind of similar to, like I said, the 30cm Wonderfest 54 that I have, which is the natural color version, which is a great figure, and a grail, because they have not reissued that figure as far as I know. But I wanted something different. I was like, you know what? Give it the paint job of my most favorite Godzilla in the franchise, which is the Mosu Goji, and that is what he did. So basically, you have the paint job of the 1964 Godzilla on top of the sculpt of the 54 Godzilla. Don't that sound awesome? Don't that sound so awesome? So I give to you the first and probably only Shodai Mosu Goji. And the paint job he did on this is really, really good. Going back to the dorsal plates, you know, with the dirty bone white, almost yellowish tint of the dorsal plates, similar to the 64, where we see him in Mothra vs. Godzilla, the same thing. You know, you have more of a darker color, charcoal gray, more so blackish color on the majority of the body, like the 64, with kind of like with brown highlights all over the body here and there to give it more depth, kind of like the 64 again. You know, the toenails as well as the claws painted the same, you know, whatever. But right here on the face, right there, with the hooded eyes, with those brown hooded eyes, that is all 64. That is all 64. And I loved it about that suit of Godzilla. And I love how, you know, you get this homage to the 64 embedded into the sculpt or onto the sculpt of the 54. So you get the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? So the paint job on everything, from the dorsal plates to the majority of his body, the claws, the toenails, everything, the hooded eyes, the teeth, the eyes, everything. Marcellus, you have done a phenomenal job. I give you a round of applause. You really have outdone yourself. Oh my God, is it my favorite work he has done? That is hard to say, because again, between the 91, between the Gargantuas, between this and the Resin Chef Ghidorah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. They're all perfect. So at this point, I'm going to do the cop-out answer and to say all of them are on the same level, which is cheating. I know that. But it's hard to really pinpoint what would be my favorite out of the 4 that he has done for me. Or 5 if you count both Gargantuas, you know, as separate figures. But I can't answer that. I'm so sorry. And that is rare when I am stumped and I can't give you a proper answer. But that guy has done so much great work that it's kind of hard to pinpoint my favorite. They're all my favorites. They're all my favorites. But again, I want to thank you, give a huge thank you to both Eric Stolp and Marcellus Winters for making this happen for me and for helping me complete my KOC 40cm Resin model kit collection at this time. Because again, I got the 55 coming. But as it stands right now, I have pretty much every 40cm Resin model kit, at least the most recent ones that Ibaraki has ever done. And I'm so happy. So again, thank you to Eric and thank you to Marcellus for making it happen for me. But the paint job, sculpt, flawless. Flawless. So if you're able to find one out there, please do not hesitate to go after this piece, because this is really a quality piece. And if you're looking for a quality version of the Shodai Goji, the 1954 Goji, look no further than this guy right here if you can't find the X Plus gigantic ones or whatever. So that's pretty much it with the backstory and packaging and promo card and all that good stuff. Oh my God, this is so great. Okay, I have 2 size comparisons planned for this video, and in the second size comparison, I'm going to bring forth all the other 40cm resin model kits from KOC I have in my collection with the 64, the 62, and the 99 to pair with the 54 in that size comparison, so that should be awesome. But in the first size comparison, I'm going to bring forth the figure to recreate a setup for a film that never happened. And it's a film that I want to see happen from Toho, but they never did it. It was going to be the last film in the Heisei period. That the original planned film for the final film in the Heisei period is going to be the setup that I'm going to recreate here in this first size comparison. I think you know where I'm going with this. So let's go with the first size comparison with the KOC 40cm 1954 Godzilla. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison, and oh my God, this is so great. This is the first time I have paired these two together. Gojira A51, if you're out there and you're watching, you can't tell me that this shot is not awesome, because it is. Oh my God, the Showa Godzilla versus the Heisei Godzilla. You already know we have the KOC 40cm resin model kit of the 54 onto the left, and onto the right, a Godzilla that I talked about earlier, the 91 Horizon Godzilla kit. Both kits painted and built by Marcellus Winters, so you can already see the talent in this one shot right here is off the charts. But this is great. And as I alluded to before we got into the size comparisons here, this is something that I've always wanted to see Toho do, right? And I kind of wish, even though I love the finale of the Heisei Godzilla film series with Godzilla vs. Destroyer, I've always wished that they would have done the original treatment or the original planned idea for the finale of the Heisei series. And that idea was going to be called Godzilla vs. Ghost Godzilla. I know I talked about it before on a few of my videos, but I go more into in-depth detail here for what I've read on the internet. Now, supposedly, the planned idea was to have Godzilla face off against Godzilla himself in the finale of the Heisei film series. And the reason why they went with Destroyer, because they felt that Godzilla faced too many versions of himself up until that point in the Heisei series, with Space Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla, Biollante, you know what I'm saying? Even having, you know, different offspring, different versions of his offspring, Godzilla Jr., Godzilla, Baby Godzilla, excuse me, and Little Godzilla. Again, they felt Godzilla came across too many versions of himself, which is why they scrapped the Godzilla versus Ghost Godzilla in favor of Destroyer. But this is something that I've always wanted to see. Ever since 1974's Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla 74 with the oil refinery battle between the two Godzillas, or might as well say in 1972 with Godzilla fighting the Godzilla Tower from Gigan. I have always wanted to see them do a Godzilla versus Godzilla story. And from what I understand, the treatment for this film was basically After the original Godzilla from 54 gets killed by the oxygen destroyer, we see his body and his bones dissolve away, and they just disappear into the water after the oxygen destroyer does his thing. But the spirit of the animal, of the creature, of the monster is still there at the bottom of the ocean. And 40 years later, like each year, as each year passes, this the spirit gets stronger and stronger and stronger. 40 years later, at this point, you know, we have the Heisei Godzilla out there. You know, you have little Godzilla out there. And so the spirit of the 54 Godzilla is strong enough where it starts to cause unexplained phenomena around Japan. You know, where he causes buildings to collapse, bridges to be destroyed, just natural disasters that can't be explained. Like something is doing this damage to the world out there, but we can't see, or we don't even know what it is, right? And it's the spirit of the original Godzilla. And he eventually comes across little Godzilla because he's trying to find a physical form. And once he finds little Godzilla, he basically possesses him in a demonic fashion and becomes a bigger, gigantic, more grotesque, evil version of the Showa 54 Godzilla. And then he finds the Heisei Godzilla, and then they do battle. And that's something that I've always wanted to see. I have always wanted to see that story play out. You never know. We might see it in a few months in the new Godzilla film. We don't know. But I've always wanted to see Toho do a Godzilla versus Godzilla story. And with these model kits, it just reinforces that, you know what, that would have been awesome. With all due respect to Destroyer, and Destroyer is a cool film. You know, I know a lot of people love that film. It's their favorite film. It's a lot of people's favorites, you know what I'm saying? But this is something that I wish that Toho would have done. I wish Toho would have gave us a Godzilla versus Godzilla story with this story right here. Like, can you imagine what would have happened if Godzilla would have fought, you know, the Showa Godzilla would have fought the Heisei Godzilla? Can you imagine how awesome that film would have been? But with this shot right here, it kind of makes you wonder, you know what I'm saying? So when I got this model kit, you know, again, I can pair him with the other KOCs that you'll see momentarily, or I can pair him alone. But this is a setup option right here where I wish they would have went with the full original plan of the original film for the finale of the Heisei series. It's fine to think about what could have happened, or what would have happened had they gone down that road. But still, you know, that's what setups are for, you know what I'm saying? So that's it with the first size comparisons. As you can see here, both of these model kits were expertly painted and built by the awesome Marcellus Winters. They're both 40 centimeters tall. You know, they look really, really well together. Again, kind of makes you wonder what would have happened. Why don't you pop down in the comment section, let me know what you think would have happened. Would the 54 beat the Heisei Godzilla? Or would the Heisei Godzilla reign supreme as he always done? You know what I'm saying? Would have been nice to see what would have happened. So that's it with the first size comparison. Sorry for the long-winded size comparison with my explanation. I wanted to get this out there because, again, this is an option that I may do with this Godzilla 54 moving forward. All right, so that's it with the first size comparison. So let's bring forth the second size comparison. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to bring forth all the other KOC 40 centimeter resin model kits I have in my collection at this moment in time, with the 64, the 62, and the 99 up against the 54 right here. So let's go with the final size comparison with all the KOC 40 centimeters that I have in my collection right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the final size comparison, or should I say KOC final size comparison. Yes, the gang is all here. All the KOC 40 centimeter resin model kits I have in my collection in this shot right here. This is so amazing. So let's go from left to right. We have the 64. In the back, we have the awesome 99. In the foreground, we have the awesome 54, the man of the hour. And of course, the awesome King Gojira right there to the far right, the 62. Oh my God, this is so great. So awesome. And again, I got the 55 coming, and I can't wait to put that kit, also known as Gigantus, with the rest of the gang here. But for the most part, these are the most recent string of 40 centimeter resin model kits, courtesy of KOC, that the awesome Akira Ibaraki has done. And it is so great. Again, I'm so amazed that I was able to not only get one of these things, but all four of them. Well, technically 5, because again, the 55 is coming. But ever since I got my hands on the 64 back in 2021, I really was like, you know what, this is great. Like this, there's a whole new world of possibilities for awesome collectibles that I'm able to get my hands on now. And after I got the 64, again, all within 1 year, last year, 2022, I was able to score the 54, the 62, and the 99, you know, whatever. So they're out there. You just have to put the work in to get them and find them. The best place to look is really Bai, quite frankly. But they are out there, even though they're really scarce. No different than your most rare X Plus figures. These model kits are really no different, especially these 40cm resin ones. But they're out there. You just got to put the work into to find them. And if you're able to find them, please do not hesitate to put them in your collection ASAP, because Ibaraki has done a perfect job sculpting every single one of these Godzillas, especially the 55. The 64 is flawless. The 54 is flawless. The 99 is flawless. The King Goji is super flawless. And they're probably the most accurate representations of the respective Godzillas out there that you can find. They get my highest recommendations. And again, if you're able to find one of them, if not all of them, even though they might be on the expensive side, but again, not too many people have these kits. Not too many people have these in their collections. But if you're able to find one, get it. And worry about how you're going to build it and paint it later, all that good stuff. Just score yourself the kit, and everything else will fall into place. But again, this is so great. You're probably wondering how I would rate them. And it has probably more so to do less about the sculpt and the paint job of each individual Godzilla, but really how I view them as far as like my favorite suits in the pecking order. So I'll probably say that, of course, the 64 is number 1. You already know that. King Goji would probably number 2, then the 99, and then the 54. But that is no shade to Marcellus or whatever, because he has done a great job with the 54. You know what I'm saying? But I just like, in terms of a suit, I just prefer the 64, the 62, and the 99 better over the 54. But the 54 still is awesome. You know what I'm saying? So why don't you pop down in the comment section, let me know out of the bunch which one is your favorite. Is it the 54? Is it the King Goji? Is it the Mosu Goji? Is it the 99? Either way, whatever you pick, you're not wrong, because Ibaraki has done a perfect job of building these things, and Mark Sang-Yang did a perfect job building and painting the 99. David Eric Dopko did an awesome job building and painting the 62 and the 64. And of course, Marcellus Winters did an awesome, perfect job of building and painting the 54. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's it with all the size comparisons I want to put with this video. Again, the 54 KOC 40cm resin model kit is so awesome. So awesome. And I can't thank both Eric and Marcellus enough for getting this kit for me. I really do appreciate it. So let's see with all the size comparisons. So let's go with the final commentary portion of the video. My final thoughts of the 40cm resin model kit of the KOC 1954 Godzilla from his epic appearance from the original film. So let's go to that final commentary portion of the video right now. Okay, folks, I'm back on my final thoughts of the 40cm resin model kit of the KOC 1954 Godzilla from his epic appearance of the original film Gojira 1954, also known as Godzilla King of the Monsters 1956. 10 out of 10. This thing is so amazing. It is. Oh my God, I know I said it a lot during the course of this video, but I cannot stress this enough that, again, since this is a design that's not on my top 10 of favorite Godzilla designs, right? I still love this thing to death, and I'm glad that I got this thing into my collection, even though I was content with the 54s I had in my collection prior to him arriving. But I'm glad I had this thing in my collection. You know, if anything, to complete my 40cm resin model kits of KOC, the recent string of them, you know what I'm saying? So it was nice to add him along with the bunch, with the 62 and 64, 99 or whatever. And what's interesting about this kit, I forgot to mention this earlier, that unlike the 99, the 64, and 62, where those kits came with alternate heads, where you can interchange the heads on the top of the neck, right? This one, unfortunately, didn't come with an alternate head. It just came with just this one head right here. But it still does not take away from the fact that this still is an awesome model kit. Sculpted, again, by the great Akira Ibaraki. Again, he is my third favorite sculptor. In terms of sculpts, he has created some dynamite sculpts. Not just with the model kits, you know, with the KOCs or whatever, but when it comes to X Plus, you know, he sculpted the 25cm Destroyer. That was an awesome figure. He sculpted the figure of the year of 2021, the 30cm Megalon. He sculpted the 30cm King Goji 62, the 30cm 1964 Godzilla. So those are examples that, again, he is up there with Niwa from Monster Maker 28. He's up there with Sakai. He, in my opinion, is one of the best sculptors out there in terms of kaiju collectibles. And what I just told you is just a few examples of the awesome work that guy has done over the years. And I hope to gain more work from him in the future, where it's from you know, sculpted figures that that he did for S Plus, or again, I'm getting the 55 Godzilla KOC kit, you know, whatever, real soon. And it's interesting, you know, even though you saw the 91 in the size comparison earlier, but that is not a KOC kit, even though it's 40 centimeters like the Godzilla here, like the 54. But up until this point, he has not done, Ibaraki I'm talking about, he has not done a 40 centimeter Heisei Godzilla in this most recent string. You know what I'm saying? He's done 4 Showas at this point, and he's done 1 Millennium, but he has not done a Heisei 40 centimeter Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? So it would have been nice to see, or it would be interesting to see what an Ibaraki 40 centimeter 84 would look like, right? Or a 91, or a 95, right? Or if he wants to go back to the Millennium series, how about a 40 centimeter suit accurate GMK Godzilla, or a 40 centimeter Final Wars Godzilla? I know it's kind of a surprising answer from me, considering that me and Final Wars are not on speaking terms. But I will say that the design of Godzilla in that film is really, really cool. And it will be cool to see if Ibaraki sculpts a 40 centimeter version of that Godzilla from Final Wars. If he did that, I would get it. You know what I'm saying? I know Gojira A51 would get it. You know what I'm saying? But it would be interesting to see after the 55, if he does continue with the 40 centimeter line, what will be the next one that he does, right? I hope it is a Heisei, you know, whatever. But I know he's going to, like, do another line where it's like a scaled down version of the 40s that he have done. Like, the next one he's going to do is going to be in a 28 centimeter scale. It's going to be of the 99 that he put out in the 40 centimeter that you saw earlier. But he's going to scale that kit down to a 28 centimeter. You know what I'm saying? So there might be another line that he's getting into, a 28 centimeter versions of the ones he's already done. But I hope he has not abandoned the 40 centimeters, because I have fun collecting these. And these are great, good size model kits and figures that you could put in your collection. You know what I'm saying? So I hope he does a Heisei. I hope he does go back to the Millennium, you know, with GMK and maybe Final Wars, or maybe one of the Kiryu Gojis. But I'm going to be keeping an eye out on the next thing that he does model kit wise. And if it's worth my while, I'm definitely going after it. But this is such a great model kit of the 54 Godzilla. And as I mentioned earlier, because of the new announcement of the new Godzilla film and the fact that it's supposedly going to take place in the Showa period pre-1954, again, it got me to go back to watch the 54 and 56 film all over again. And I've said many times before, between two films, I love and I gravitate more towards the 56 film. And it may be a blasphemous thing to say amongst Godzilla fans and Godzilla purists, but I won't say more fun with it, but I am more entertained with the 56 version. You know what I'm saying? Because the 54 version is really heavy. Really heavy in terms of the story. Now, between the two films, 54 will obviously be the better story, or at least the better told story. But for me, being an African American, I relate more, or at least I'm able to digest the 56 version more, because it's told from an American's perspective, which I thought was a really great thing, that how they told that story in 56, how they Americanized it, right? Where basically in the 56 version it's told through a flashback, because you put right into the shoes of Raymond Burr, who was the the protagonist of the film, right? So you put in his shoes, so you basically are kind of like there with him in Japan as these awesome events are unraveling. And in the first shot in the 56 film, because you know, they lay out the film differently in 56 versus the original film, right? But in the 56 film, the first shot you see outside of Godzilla roaring in the ocean, you don't see Godzilla, but you see the title card and you hear him roaring. You don't see Godzilla, but you know he's there. The very next shot is the shot of decimated Tokyo. Buildings burning to the ground, buildings burnt, buildings destroyed, charred rubble, people dead. And it's like you're looking at that and you're like, what did that? Of course you know Godzilla did it, but still, the image of seeing that city, one of the most populated cities on the face of this planet, get destroyed and reduced to ashes, and you're like right there with Raymond Burr, and it's like you're wondering what happened. Like, what did that? What had the power to do that much damage? And then as you watch the film again, half the film is told through a flashback. You're able to really be there with Raymond Burr, you know, through his eyes, because you see it through his eyes as an American viewer. Now, for the Japanese version, I think it would be very insulting if I were to have a conversation with somebody that lived through that period in late World War II and lived through the events of the atomic bombings in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, or lived through the Lucky Dragon #5 incident, you know, all these events really inspired the original Gojira. It would be very insulting, in my opinion, to have a conversation with somebody who lived through that and say, you know what, I understand what you're going through. Because honestly, I can't understand what they're going through. I do not know what it's like to live in a country where bombs were dropped upon my nation and upon my fellow citizens. I don't know what it's like to deal with radiation and nuclear radiation sickening and poisoning of citizens, stuff like that. I have no idea what that's like, right? So again, it would be very insulting for me to have a conversation with somebody who lived through that and say, I understand, because I really don't. That is why I gravitate more towards the American version, because I see that and I can identify with what the Japanese people are going through. I can sympathize with what they went through, even though I can't really understand it because I've never been involved with something like that, something that catastrophic, right? And I think the American version does a great job because they kind of play down the dark, heavy tone of the original, you know what I'm saying, to make it more digestible for American audiences, quite frankly. But as an American audience viewer, I think they struck the right perfect chord where they cover as much as they could of the original, but not going too deep into it, but yet made you understand the severity and the seriousness of the situation, and still separate Godzilla from the other giant monster films that came out in the 50s, you know, with the Beast for 20,000 Fathoms, you know, the giant ants from them, the giant behemoth, you know, tarantula. So Godzilla easily could have been lumped in with them. It could have been like a one-and-done monster that could have been easily forgotten about. But the way they treat the story in the original version, as well as they try to adapt it in the American version, again, they do as much as they could to present the original message, but not be too hard where it could be really uncomfortable for an American audience viewer to watch. And I think they did exactly that, which is why I really, again, gravitate more towards the 56 version over the 54 version. You know what I'm saying? Again, the 54, it still will be the better told story, but for me being an American and an African American, I actually enjoy, or at least I gravitate more towards the 56. And I think that, honestly, Godzilla King the Monster 1956 doesn't get enough credit for being a great, powerful film, a somber film. You know, it has the tone of the original. Again, it just doesn't go all in with the message as the 54 did. But again, I think the 56 film deserves a lot more credit, especially Raymond Burr, because without him, it would be kind of hard to understand and really get into that film, be submerged into the story without him narrating the story or guiding us through the story. So I don't think he gets enough credit. I don't think the 56 film as a whole gets enough credit. So hopefully I can convince y'all out there, you know what, give 56 a chance. Like, give it, you know, give it another watch, you know, and really understand that they did as best as they could to present the original story without making feel people who live outside Japan uncomfortable. And I think the 56 film did that, and again, I think deserves more of an audience, more respect, more recognition, and hopefully I can convince you of that. But until then, I love the film. I'm glad that I was able to have my love re-sparked for it recently, thanks to the new news of the new Godzilla film in 2023 coming. And hopefully, you know, it'll be a period piece. Hopefully, all the stuff we've heard about it so far, it will be a show of period piece. Hopefully, it'll lead into 54. That's my hope. But if not, I'm still looking forward to the awesome 2023 Godzilla movie coming within a handful of months. But until then, watching the 54 as well as the 56 will tie me over until that awesome moment comes. But in the meantime, this is such a great, great, awesome kit. Again, thank you to Eric and thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. And if you can find one for a good price, I highly recommend you go after this kit. There's no question about that. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the 40cm resin model kit of the KOC 1954 Godzilla. From its epic appearance from the original Godzilla film that kicked off this awesome, illustrious, amazing, spectacular franchise, Gojira 1954, also known as Godzilla 1954, also known as Godzilla King the Monster 1956. If you have any questions, have me down in the comment section. Here on Facebook via Leslie Chambers with Death, where we go from there. Yes, once again, great, great model kit. Again, I'm glad I had this along with the 62, with the 99, with the 64, with the eventual 55. And again, I'm going to be looking forward to seeing, outside of the 28cm 99 that Ibaraki is coming out with, I hope he goes back to the 40cm scale. I hope he brings us a Heisei. Like I said, couple from the Millennium series I would love to see him do. Only time will tell. I think he will. I think he will, and I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for it. But whatever he does, I'm more likely to go after it, because as a testament of what he has done so far with the X Plus figures he has sculpted, with the model kits that he has done that I have accumulated, I'm definitely a fan of Ibaraki, and you have not seen the last of Ibaraki sculpts to make it into my collection. Yes, yes, yes. Again, I love this thing so much. Now, in regards to the video, to the next video, excuse me, I'll just say this. We're going to talk about, and I've been kind of avoiding it for a while, but I need to address it. And I will do it in this video, but we're going to talk about, unfortunately, the beginning of the end. And I'll talk more about that when we get to that point. But until then, I highly recommend this model kit. So if you're able to find it on eBay, on Mandarake, on Buy, or just out there for a relatively good price, go after it. If you want a quintessential, awesome representation of the original prehistoric monster that was unleashed in 1950 world, that spawned the greatest cinematic movie franchise in the history of the world with the 1954 Shodai Godzilla, courtesy of KOC, do not hesitate to go after this piece. You will not be disappointed. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on this figure move review. All right? Y'all take it easy.